Welcome to Pink Cake Princess. I'm Andrea and today I'm going to show you how to decorate a Dork Diaries book cake. This is the cake that I made for my daughter Mackayla, who turned 10 recently. She had a joint party with her sisters. You can check out the My Little Pony rainbow cake and also the Shopkins Wishes cake. The tutorials are on my channel. You can click the links at the end of the video or in the video description below. And don't forget to subscribe before you go as well. Okay, I'm going to be placing my cake on a cake board. This is 14 inches by 16 inches. I'm also adding a piece of styrofoam at the back so that it's easier for me to lift up the cake. Now I'm using a rectangle cake that's roughly 12 inches by 8 inches. I've used a square cake and I've trimmed it into this shape. You can also bake two shallower cakes if you want to and just add the two on top of each other. I've split my cake in two and now I'm just applying it onto my cake board with a little bit of the buttercream. I'm filling the middle with my Swiss meringue buttercream. You can find the recipe on my channel. Now I'm lifting up the top layer and placing it on top. Now I'm going around and just doing a quick crumb coat before placing it in the fridge to set for 20 minutes. Then I've gone back and placed another coat of buttercream and then let it set again for another 20 minutes. Now onto my fondant icing. I'm rolling out some white fondant icing and I'm trying to keep it roughly a square shape by rolling out the corners and the edges. I keep rolling until it's roughly a rectangle shape as big as the top of the cake and the sides of the cake. Now once I've checked that the piece is big enough, I've popped any air bubbles that may be in the fondant and now I'm lifting the fondant up and placing it onto my cake with one side exposed. Now smoothing over the top, making sure there's no air bubbles underneath, and then slowly going around and smoothing down my corners and my edges. Using my hands to initially smooth it over, and then eventually using my cake smoother to smooth the fondant over to get rid of any lumps. Now I'm using a pizza cutter or a roller cutter to trim off the excess fondant at the bottom. Now I'm using my X-Acto knife to trim off the excess on the edge. And to create the look of pages in the book, I'm using a wooden skewer just to create some indents on the sides. They're a little bit light in the video so you can't really see them very well, but it does look really great on the cake. Now onto some blue fondant. I'm rolling out a strip of blue fondant. If it is too sticky, you can use some corn flour to dust it with. I've trimmed a couple of edges off and now I'm lifting it up and placing it onto the side of the exposed cake. Using my cake smoother to smooth it over, and then my knife to trim the excess off. I've also trimmed the strip at the top to make it nice and smooth. Okay, now onto the actual cake image. I'm using an edible cake image. You can order these online. These are edible because they're printed from edible inks, and basically they're really easy to use. They come pre-packaged for you in a plastic sleeve, and then you just pull it off the backing and then attach it onto your cake with a little bit of water. Now I've used a paper towel just to wet my fondant, and before I actually place it on the cake, I'm just going to trim the white edges off and then gently placing it onto the cake and smoothing it over with my fingers. Now I've rolled out a few strips of blue fondant and I've trimmed off the edges, and now I'm attaching it onto the excess white areas of the cake book cover just to make it look more even. If you are liking this tutorial, don't forget to click the like button below and also add to favourites if you want to save it. If you do have any bookworms that wouldn't appreciate this type of cake, please share it as well. My daughter's an absolute bookworm and she loved this cake. Now I've gone ahead and rolled out some yellow strips of fondant just to cover the cake board. You can roll a really long strip and wrap it around, but this was just easy for me to do. Just rolling out the 4 sections and then applying it onto the board with a little bit of water, and then trimming the excess off with my knife. My daughter's really into her Dork Diaries series right now, and she takes after her mum. I love getting into my books as well. What books are you guys into right now? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, now just to finish it off, I've rolled out little strips of blue fondant which I've trimmed off, and I'm attaching around the bottom of the cake to create the back cover of the cake. Now just adding my daughter's name onto the cake, I'm using some funky letters from FMM brand, and I'm using a little pin to help me get it out of the cutter. Now attaching a couple of candles to the cake board, and also the name to the cake with a little bit of water. Finishing at the bottom with a ribbon around the cake board. And that's it, that's my Dork Diaries book cake. Hope you guys like it, and let me know which book series you guys are into right now. Subscribe if you want to see more free tutorials, and click on an image for the tutorial. Thanks again for watching guys, and hope you guys tune in for the next one.